All right, good morning, everybody. Wherever you are, good morning. Okay, prayer time. Make me resilient. I marvel at the resilience of nature, Lord. No matter where I look, I see a theater of life in motion. I wonder what my life looks like from a distance. What I would see if I could view my life through a wide cosmic lens. Would I even comprehend the significance of all the many currents of life flowing to me, or those avoiding me, as well as those that would appear to embrace me? What I would observe, I suspect, is that the flow of life, the continuum of life, does not stop for anything or anyone. No one's problems or heartaches or resentments are deep enough or unique enough to stop or shift the natural rhythms or cycles of life. Forests burn and then produce new growth. Earthquakes shape the earth anew. Land rises and falls. No natural form of life mourns the organic shifting of the sands of time except we humans, Lord. Again and again, we plant our feet firmly on shaking ground, determined to stop fires in the forest and erupting earthquakes from their task of breaking new ground, wide open because we do not want our lives, our personal worlds to change. You know, Lord, I want to stop the cycles of life because I'm not sure when those cycles will collapse the walls of my own life or bring some part of my life to a halt. I'm not certain I have the resilience to start anew again and again as nature does, and yet I have experienced the grace of resilience flooding into my blood and bones in exactly the second that I need it most. Just when I felt despair approach the energy of my heart, suddenly in an instant, all I could think of was everything will be fine. Despair shattered like fragile, thin glass. I wondered how I had come up with such a positive thought, much less how it was that I actually believed it. Somehow in that moment, not only did I believe all would be well, I knew it with all my heart and soul. For me, the crisis that had so frightened me ended in that instant, and I felt your message melt into me. I would be fine. Everything will be fine. I knew then that I had to relinquish my idea about wanting a certain outcome and let the wisdom plan of my life take over. Whatever I had to deal with so far as people and the everyday details of my life felt like ordinary paperwork. Lord, grant me the grace of resilience in all ways. It is exhausting to try to control all the rivers that flow into my life. The better choice is to become a good passenger, skilled in navigating the ways and cycles of nature. For as we learn to become one with all nature, we find our way to you. Amen. That's beautiful. I did.
Can we get a copy when we leave?
In my book. Not to my book. Don't release. My book is Holy Language, Prayer, Grace, and Guidance. And I wrote guidance and grace after it. Do you want that? Do you want me to read that? No. Yeah?
Yes,
Do you want me to?
Yes.
Okay, in the book, I have every page is the prayer, and then beneath it, guidance, and beneath that, grace. So the guidance that goes with that is we have endless opportunities that require the grace of resilience each day of our lives. It takes resilience to decide to initiate a new pattern in your life because you must battle the part of you that won't let go of an old pattern. It takes resilience to continue to nurture a creative vision that only you believe in. It takes the grace of resilience to get up in the morning when you're overwhelmed with problems. Nature is a living theater of the truth, that the organic design of living creatures is to be resilient, to survive, to adjust, to find a way through difficulties. We are not good with defeat. That's why we can't accept defeat. But we each have a phoenix in us that calls us to rise again and again from the ashes of our despair or our challenges. We are born resilient. Okay, grace. Resilience is a powerful grace that enhances our natural instincts to get up and try again. It offers a person a type of blink-of-an-eye chance to reshape their thinking and attitude through a positive lens. This grace is like a booster shot that we receive when our psychic immune system is depleted. A person can suddenly feel hopeful, re-energized, and even experience a diminishing of physical aches and pains as a result of resilience. So that's how the book is.
Well, I can't wait till it comes out.
Yeah, you like it already?
So those of us here are getting all signed copies, right?
Okay, all right. Don't release the prayer. Any of them. All right. Okay. Now, holy language. See how holy language makes you feel? Isn't that amazing? Okay, and it touches, but what do you think it touches in you? I got to take this off. Wait a minute. So I have to do this consciously, otherwise the microphone will fly out of my back pocket. Okay. So what does holy language touch in you? All right, and I'm going to just ask that for a moment because it touches something in you that ordinary, oh, you'll feel better. You'll feel better. This will work out. Doesn't touch. When you have something going on in you, and you're going through a difficult passage, and someone says to you, don't you worry. Don't you worry. This will work out, no matter how well-meaning they are. And they say something like, don't you worry, this will work out. It doesn't hit that spot, that spiritual sweet spot. They mean well, and in the moment, you feel thank you. And you may feel comforted, but you don't feel safe. You don't, here's the operative word, here's the holy word, believe it. Believe. There's nothing that says, you're right, I will be okay. Okay. So what is holy? What is that? What does the word holy mean? I could enter this topic through so many different passages. And I got up at 5 this morning. And I sat with myself and I said, what door do I come into this through? Which one? Which one is going to be the best? Through defining the holy and going that way? Through talking about this way, through talking about that way? But I think that, because I haven't taught this before, so I'm studying myself here. So I think for me, for this subject, I am going to enter into this by going through you, by having you pay attention and heightening up an awareness in you that you really become deeply aware of how much you have changed and how much a part of that change has been a repelling of the sacred. And how much you have shut that out of your life in ways known and unknown to you. And how much the world we are living in has shut down access to the sacred, consciously, unconsciously, deliberately. And what the consequences to that have been to the collective. In one general statement, I want you to just observe something that is a phenomenon of our time and only our time in the history of humanity. We are the only society that has lived in an atmosphere that questions the existence of God. There has never been a time when the global community questions the existence of God. And when asking about God more brings about disdain in somebody than a sense of assumption that the person you're dealing with believes in some form of a source greater than themselves. Prior to now, everybody assumed that the human being they were dealing with had some kind of connection to something holy. Even if they did not believe in the holy something that that person was connected to. Even if they thought, you're nothing but a Protestant, or you're nothing but a this, or a Druid, or whatever, it was an argument about God. That person believed in God was not a question. There were the occasional atheists, but everybody was like, what? And even an atheist is someone who just argues philosophically at the end of the day. That's all. They're just, I don't know, shut up. Talk to me when you're on your deathbed. All atheists I meet are healthy. Call me when you've got cancer. Call me when you've got cancer. Okay. So, so it is a phenomenon of our time. A phenomenon of our time. So I wanted to say that we have gone through, in these last 7 decades, this extraordinary morphing of becoming a society of human beings globally that have tossed out access to the sacred because of this. We've catapulted ourselves into what we consider to be an intellectual atmosphere of what we think. We have grown so impressed with our intellect that we're out of control. And we have, it's interesting that we have, in my opinion, come to the end of the age of reason. We have never been more unreasonable, but we think of ourselves as intellectual giants. When in fact, we have what kind of species creates its own weapons of mass destruction with no other place to go, and thinks that figuring out a way to destroy themselves is an accomplishment, and actually convincing themselves that destroying half the planet won't destroy them, that their water supply will be fine while wiping out other people's water supply, as if the planet won't spin under their toxic air within hours. And they consider this an accomplishment. Now, I introduced this, and I have to finish this so I can adjust your sights as I continue. With every floor you go on, The point is that your capacity to understand something becomes more symbolic instead of literal. And therein lies your skill. That the leading reason people get sick in life, I wouldn't have said this years ago, but now I will say it, that the reason you lose power, this is you losing power. I'm going to draw it a little better because of people watching it. This is you losing power. 90% of the reason you suffer is self-created. And the reason is because you take things personally. You take things personally. Things that people say. You take the day personally. You say things like, was it something I said? You won't even let people have their own bad day. Was it something I did? You interpret the world as if it belonged to you. As if it was your world. As if everything was created for you and everything is personal. One of the great teachings of Buddha was everything's an illusion. There's nothing personal about anything. We visit this planet for a very short period of time, 50, 60, 80 years that go by in a blink of an eye. Most of us are coming to the end of our journey. We have no idea when we're going to leave. It's not revealed on our face, but we can be sure as our face does get older, we're getting closer to our exit. It's very brief. This is not our planet, and nobody was born to serve us. And the events unfolding on this planet do not unfold because of us, for us, in any way. So to say, I need to understand why this happened to me, is a prayer that will never get answered. Is a prayer that will absolutely never get answered. And I'm going down this road because the major reason you lose your soul, the major reason you will not open your intuitive system as fully as it is opening now in this era, is because that level of perception is something that has to be, in order to have that level of perception be really clear, and here's the operative holy word, for you to become discerning. The word is discerning. For you to learn and evolve into discernment. It is an impersonal grace. Grace is impersonal. Grace is not a personal force. When someone says, what is grace feel? Grace is impersonal. And discernment's the capacity to see clearly through holy eyes. To see clearly through holy eyes. I need to discern what is the truth here. And it means without my private agenda as a priority. Without my private agenda. Without me wanting to win. Without me wanting to control Nancy. What is the truth? Why has God brought us together? What I need to discern. What do I have wisdom that I need? How am I here to help you with something with my skills? Or are you? Do I need to ask you something? I need to discern this. Without discernment, maybe I would withhold because of shame. Without discernment, maybe this is the person who can get me out of my pain. Without discernment, maybe I would not ask because I am afraid of being humiliated. Discernment is the grace that allows me to see this. But if I am in this toxic state of taking everything personally, I will only see through shame, embarrassment, and the fear of being humiliated. Are you with me here? And as you go up the floors, you enter into the impersonal experience of your own life. The impersonal. This is the altitude I want you to get to. The Buddha altitude, the Christ altitude. I'm going to hit a pause button here. I can speak of Buddhism a lot, and nobody thinks I'm converting them to Buddhism. I speak of Jesus, and people think I'm converting them to Christianity. Snap out of it. Do you understand me? Snap out of it. I am not converting you to Christianity. I am not a preacher. I'm not a fundamentalist. And I will speak about Jesus as the holy teacher that he was. But the fact that you hear it that way is something we need to speak about. Because that is exactly what I'm talking to you about. That is how you threw out holy language. Because you're repelled even by the name. You find the name Jesus repulsive. Repellent. Oh no, it's a Christian. And she's coming at me with Christianity. Oh no, got to throw that out. Followed by those horrible priests. Followed by yick, yick, yick. And that's what comes at me in a tsunami. And that's how all that holy language got tossed. So what people did was they threw out the mystical jewels with very dirty bathwater. And it is dirty bathwater. But the mystical jewels went down the drain. So we're going to retrieve some beautiful mystical jewels. Because I will present to you the mystical jewels of these traditions that where they speak of the natural laws, what is above and below, that's the heart of the Our Father. As it is in heaven, so it is on earth. Jesus never taught sexuality. He taught the laws. He taught the laws of healing. If you're interested in healing, then you're interested in Jesus. If you're not, but who's not interested in healing? He was a teacher of the cosmic laws of the soul. That's it. Everything else, human beings got their hands on. And you know what happens then? Okay? But this is how holy language got tossed down the drain. All right, now, and let me say, because the holy language of Jesus and Buddha is not that familiar, but because the holy language of the cosmic healer got tossed down the drain, in my opinion, this is my opinion, and as I say to everybody, leave it at the door if it doesn't feel right to you. Leave it at the door when you leave here. But because his role was to engage a template for the our healing of our interior and our management of our soul, like Buddha was. The two together are the perfect team. In tossing aside the language to navigate our soul, that our soul needs compassion, that we need to look upon each other with compassion, or we harm ourselves. We do great harm to ourselves. That if we must understand that what we do to the least of us, we're doing to ourselves. That's a law. That's a mystical law that we're now seeing in physics. This is just a law. What you do to, you see it in your biology, what you do to one cell, you're doing to the whole. What you do to one organ, you do to the whole. It is a law, that's all. And you can take that law and you could throw it into Buddhism, and Buddha would say, that's right. That's right. Buddha teaches this a version of the very same thing. It's all one, Buddha says. It's all one. So these are not recruitment tactics to become a Catholic. Oh, Lordy, although I have been approached by a Catholic and asked to do recruitment. I said no. Okay. All right. Now, in our journey up this, eventually, you get to a place in your own life where you're only way through your crisis, your health crisis, your marriage crisis, your personal crisis, your dilemma is to become impersonal, or you won't get through. You won't get through it. By taking it personally, you are jammed. By telling yourself, but my pain in this is much worse than anybody else's. My rejection, my divorce, my loss, you just don't get it. My loss is... I had a workshop once, and a woman lost her child. Everybody in my family's lost a child. My mother, my grandparents, my aunts, everybody. So I grew up going to funerals of cousins and my brother and so I knew what it was like to see this loss and to see my elders mourn from the get-go, and to see how they handled the loss, what they considered to be the ultimate loss. And I have a friend who lost all three of her children. One of my very best friends, my very dearest friends, lost all three of her children. Daughter on the same day as her son 1 year later. Yes. And her choice was, I can either collapse from this or not. And my only way not is to find a way to serve others. I got to get out of this. And that's how she did it. And she's one of the most spectacular people of service in the community in which I live. So, but this individual insisted that her pain, her loss, was greater than anybody else's because of the way her son died. And she was very vocal about it and bitter. And what I realized through that was that here in this turning point between the impersonal level of your life and the personal is this battlefield ultimately between you and God. It's archetypal and it's unconscious, conscious, unconscious, conscious. in which you are raging against what has happened to you. And if your rage is loud enough, if your anger is ferocious enough, there is a part of you that actually thinks God will return your life the way you want it. That it will all be put back into place just the way you want it. Because finally, and this goes with the father figure God, you as a child, a screaming child, will get the paternal father to finally cave. And you will get your life back. Get rid of that A. You will get your life back. Because finally God gave in. Because your tantrum got to be cosmic sized. Otherwise, you're simply not going to play the game anymore. And you're going to stop making choices, and you're going to lock in, and you will, in fact, begin the journey of living your life through making other people suffer. And your choices will go the other direction. You'll punish others because you are unhappy. And you'll let them know, and maybe they will serve as messengers to God for your misery. And that's what you'll do. I'll show you. I will scream at other people. I will pout. I will be awful. I will bite every day. No, I'm not happy. This isn't good enough. No. Can you relate? Anybody doing that? Anybody presently doing that? Sometimes? Okay. Quite often. I got a sometimes, I got a quite often. What else have I got? Not anymore.
Not sure.
I'm not sure. I might. I'm right.
I'm right in it.
Oh, you're right in it. Okay, you're a pro. That's called a pro. Professional. Anyone else?
I used to be pro.
And you used to, and you, what are you now? Retired? You have an occasional lapse. That counts. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. Because that's what we do. We go up and down. We go up and down. It's like time for me to return. I need a good dose of who I used to be. Yeah.
Or have it in self-pity. It's just...
Yeah, self-pity. Yeah, time for me to have some self-pity. I'll be right back. Yeah, an hour self-pity every Tuesday afternoon. Don't come near me. Don't call. You're going. Everybody, the goal is not perfect. Stop it. The goal is not perfect. The goal is to get a hold of yourself as best as you can and try again and again. This is not about perfect, never will be. My God, stop it. Okay? So, this journey of having anger tantrums and saying, this isn't working and I'm really angry, what I want you to really pay attention to is if your anger tantrums are really at God, are really cosmic, and that in your inability to get to God, you got to beat up someone and anyone else will do. And to actually see if you can get in touch with that thread, that this anger is cosmic in size, which is why I just can't reconcile it. And it's why you want to bite somebody. Because anger is a verb. It's not a noun. And it wants to come out. And it wants to get expression. And you want to move the universe with your anger. Which is why people, when we're angry, we have to let someone know. We're not even fussy. Even pottery. Right? We don't care. We want to kick the television. We want to throw out our phone. We don't care. Anger makes us explode. Or we implode. Which is why it's so harmful to our body. It is a hot fire. It's a bad hot fire. And and anger is, we're not getting our way. We're not getting our way. We're not getting our way. Pound, pound, thrash, thrash, I'm leaving. Okay? So it's really this stage of deciding the world doesn't revolve around me. I have got to take a deep breath and get to another level of consciousness, because this ain't working. This ain't working.